2013 Chevy Avalanche Black Diamond LTZ. The problem that I'm working on is a very common problem for GM vehicles of around this year's series, which is that the plastic chromed door handles break. This is the second one that's broken. I've already replaced the rear driver's side handle, which broke just last week. So I've had a 1-2 thing. So what have I done so far? There's a small plastic panel that covers this bolt. I removed that with a small screwdriver. Then there is another panel behind the armrest that needs to be popped. Also did that with a screwdriver. And then I removed the locking plastic, and here they are. That's the armrest panel. That's the panel behind the door latch. And here's the door lock. Notice the square, or not quite square, trapezoidal little tab. You have to pull that out in order to remove the panel. On the driver's side rear handle, that little plastic part came all the way off. This seems to not want to come all the way off, and that's fine. I'm not going to fight it. No need to. So where do I go from here? Might as well move this. In order to replace the door handle, the whole panel has to come off. So I'm going to remove those bolts. They're number 10 millimeter bolts. And I'm also going to take this off. I'm going to label them. I got my Sharpie here, just in case. These look like they might be the same. These look like they, these look like they might be the same connector. These look like they might be the same connector. So I'm just going to put a little blue tape label, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, to make sure that I don't get anything mixed up. And then take this off, set it aside safely. And then I'm going to pry off the panel, and I will show you when I get to that point what else needs to be done. And so I'm going to stop the video here, and I'll start it up again when I need to. Okay, I got the door panel off. As you can see, I had to remove the plastic trim piece here. I used body panel tools, dirt cheap at Harbor Freight. And then you have to take this cable off. You'll need needle nose pliers to squeeze those two tabs together to pop it off the back of the panel. You probably could get away with replacing the door handle without taking the panel completely off and let it just hang, but it's more convenient to just set the panel aside somewhere. And in order to remove the panel, I started up here in this corner, just put my hand behind the panel and gave it a tug, and then just went down all the way around this way. Oops. Almost lost the camera, until it was loose. The panel does sit in this little valley here, so you need to lift it up in order to get it off. No big deal. So now let me see what it's going to take to get at that door handle. I'll continue on from there. Back again. The two bolts that you want to loosen, first of all, leave that alone. There are two caps here. There are two plastic caps here. Remove them with a flathead screwdriver, no big deal. And in there will be a number 10 nut. Do you see the other side? That's where my finger's going. That's where one of the 10 millimeter nuts is. And then over here, I think you can see daylight. That's where the other one removes. They're small, or I should say short bolts, and to remove them all the way, I loosened them up with my extension socket, and then of course it wouldn't come out all the way, which in the end is a good thing. I used a magnet to get it out all the way, so didn't lose either nut to the nether regions of the door. So that's one suggestion for you on how to do that. So let's take a look at the door mechanism itself now that it's off the car. Here it is, broken, and you can see my index finger. That is where the break occurred on the original door handle. And this is the new door handle, and as you can see, now I've got my thumb on it, that apparatus is now there. And so we're going to reconnect this and then install the door handle. And I think this entire spring mechanism, if you can see on the old one, is missing because it broke off. As you can see it's not there. It's still inside the car attached to the rod, so I have to remove this part, the spring part. Again, here's the new one. The spring part here is still attached inside the door. Need to remove that before I can install this in its place, which I will do. There's no way for me to record that. The spaces are too tight. You're just going to have to trust me on that. And we'll get this thing reattached and then reinstalled. Onward and upward. Okay, the broken part came out of the door, so I just wanted to show it to you. So this has to, I got to wiggle this thing off at this post here where my index finger is, and then wiggle the new one on. And so that's what I'm going to do. But you can see here's the spring, broken off spring part here, and this whole apparatus, this whole part here is part of the new as you can see, there it is. Right, let's get to it. Okay, new handle won't let me show you exactly the reconnection, but if you can see, there's that spring that broke off, and there's a tang up here that goes into this outer hole. I cleaned up the handle area. I put a couple coats of wax down there. I also put a couple of dabs of fluid film for yucks. But now the object is to put those short bolts back in. Sorry, I cut the video off. To put the bolts, the small bolts back in on the reverse side. That should be interesting, but I'm sure that we'll get through it eventually, and I'll show you that when I'm done. Okay, it was fiddly, but it's installed and it's secure. I would be careful tightening those nuts, those bolts rather. I wouldn't go hog wild tightening them. I'd get them to the point where they're just past, maybe even not just past, but snug them up so that they feel secure and don't go beyond that. There's probably a torque setting spec somewhere for what they're supposed to be at, but I couldn't find it, so I just went with slightly past snug. So we'll see how long it lasts. Anyway, so I'm going to put the car panel back on, and before Actually, where are my two plastic plugs? Here they are. Before I completely button it up, I will test the door to make sure that it works. Well, it probably does. Anyway, yeah, so it's time to put the door panel back on, and slow and steady, careful, wins the race. That's what we're going to do. Okay, bye. Okay, panel's back on. Don't forget that you have to get the panel over this lip. I also put some interior cleaner, whatever it is, Arm Roll, the equivalent. Since I had it off, might as well, so I did that. And as you can see, panel's back on. I can't quite get the camera around the corner, but oh, there you go. It's all sealed up. There's my wire harness. I put the cable back on inside. Now let's give it the test. Okay. All right, so we're gonna continue putting the bolts on. We'll put our controller back on, covers on, and whatever, and this job is done. So how long did it take me? What? Considering I'm videoing this, so it took me a little bit longer, maybe a total of 90 minutes, something in that neighborhood. Maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more, but definitely not 2 hours. So all's well that ends well, and until the next door handle breaks, I guess. I'll show you the completely finished product in a moment, and then we'll wrap this up. I didn't notice this before because it's dark, but the back of the control panel is labeled with the color connectors, so you don't need to label them yourselves unless you're colorblind, which actually I am in red and green, but in this particular case, it was no big deal. Anyway, I just thought I'd point that out, that the colors are printed on the back of this control panel. And we'll go on. Okay. Door's back on. Everything's fine. Door locks. Working. The only thing left is to put this little square back on. Goes like that, and the door is completely put back together. And mission accomplished. Excuse me. So that's it for replacing the door handle on a 2013 Chevy Avalanche Black Diamond LTZ pickup truck. May it have many, many more years to go on the road. Just waxed it. Quite a few paint chips, more than the last time I waxed it about 6 months ago. But it still is looking pretty good for an 11-year-old car. Okay, guys, I will see you later. Hope this was helpful. Bye.